Brilliance Audio presents the unabridged recording of Bad Chili by Joe R. Lansdale, performed by Phil Gigante. This one's for my brother, Andrew Vax, Warrior. Life's like a bowl of chili in a strange cafe. Sometimes it's pretty tasty and spicy. Other times, it tastes like shit. Jim Bob Luke. Chapter 1. It was mid-April when I got home from the offshore rig and discovered my good friend Leonard Pine had lost his job bouncing drunks at the Hot Cat Club because in a moment of anger, when he had a bad ass on the ground out back of the place, he'd flopped his tool and pissed on the rowdy's head. Since a large percentage of the club was outside watching Leonard pop this would-be troublemaker like a ping-pong ball, and since Leonard hadn't been discreet enough to turn to a less visible angle when he decided to water the punk's head, the management was inclined to believe Leonard had overreacted. Leonard couldn't see this. In fact, he thought it was good business. He told management if word of this got around, potential troublemakers would be saying, "You start some shit at the Hot Cat Club, you get that mean queer nigger on your ass, and he'll piss on your head." Leonard, taking into account the general homophobia and racism of the local population, considered this a deterrent possibly even more effective than the death penalty. The management disagreed, said they hated to do it, but they had to let him go. That wasn't enough of a heartbreak. About this same time, Leonard lost his true love, Raoul, again, and was in the mood to tell me about it. We drove out to a friend's pasture in Leonard's latest wreck, an ancient white rambler with a loose spring under the passenger's ass, set up some cans on a rotting log and took pot shots at them with a revolver while we talked beneath a bright blue cloudless sky. Way it happened was, Leonard knocked a row of cans down with a few good shots, and as we walked over to them to put them up again, he was beginning to tell me how he and Raoul had been arguing a lot, which was nothing new, and how Raoul had walked out. This was not new either. But this time Raoul hadn't come back. That was new. A few days later, Leonard discovered Raoul had taken up with a leather-clad fellow with a beard and a Harley, and had been seen riding around Laborde on the back of the bike, pushed up tight against Leatherboy. So tight, Leonard said, "He must have had his dick up the fucker's ass." We had one revolver between us, and as Leonard talked, he handed the revolver to me, and I started to load it. I had placed 4 shells in the chambers, when out of the woods, bounding as if on a pogo stick, came a frenzied squirrel. Let me tell you, if you have never seen an agitated squirrel, you have seen very little, nor have you heard much, because the sound of an angry squirrel is not to be forgotten. It is high-pitched and shrill enough to twist your jockeys up your crack. For a moment, Leonard and I were frozen with amazement, stunned by the shrieking. Both of us have been in and around the woods all our lives, and as a youngster I had hunted squirrel, and our family had fried and stewed and eaten them with poke salad and mustard greens on many occasions. But in all my born days, and I'm sure in Leonard's, we had never seen anything quite like this. I suddenly wondered if my taste in meat had been passed down through generations of squirrels by word of mouth, and here, finally, was old Bebo come to avenge the death of a relative. The rascal was bouncing 4 feet high at a leap, and after about 4 leaps it was totally clear of the woods, and was springing directly toward us. We broke and ran. The squirrel, however, was not a quitter. Glancing over my shoulder, I saw that it was in fact gaining on us, and Leonard's cussing was having absolutely no effect, other than to perhaps further enrage the animal, who might have had Baptist leanings. We made the car just ahead of the squirrel, but we didn't make the doors. We jumped onto the hood and then the roof of the car, which was, of course, useless. The squirrel sprang to the hood effortlessly, and with a chatter and a spray of froth leaped onto the roof and directly at me. Leonard rescued me. He swatted it aside with the back of his hand, knocked it twisting to the ground, where it did a kind of dance on 2 legs, regained its footing, then began to run hysterically about in a circle. A heartbeat later it broke the circle and charged the car again. I opened up on the fucker. 3 shots in quick succession, but the way it was moving, all those battlefield tactics, zigzagging and whatnot, I succeeded only in throwing up some pasture dirt.